Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Four Persons. Today we're going to do our 2025 Notre Dame and College football preview edition. I know we have already had some games in week 0, but nothing of tremendous significance. So we're ready to get going. Right, that's the Dropkick Murphys with Victory. And of course, it was originally based on Our Lady of Victory title that came out of the victory in the Battle of Lepanto, the miraculous victory. And of course, it has later been adopted for Our Lady's team, Notre Dame, which literally means Our Lady. So, Our Lady of Victory, pray for us. So, previewing the 2025 season, this is the most talented and deepest Notre Dame team in at least 30 years, and which is amazing because next year's team is likely to be even better. So we're going to go through the position groups first, then what I believe it will look like on the field, and breaking down the schedule, especially the first game against Miami, and then overall college season preview and predicting the playoff bracket. Ready to get going? So let's start with position groups, and we're going to start with the offensive skill positions. Now, Athlon lists 7 position groups as follows, and that's quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, and defensive backs. And only one team placed the team in the top 10 in each category, and that's Texas. 3 schools, Clemson, Ohio State, and Penn State, placed 6, while Notre Dame, Georgia, and Alabama each placed 5. Now, what should be cause for pause for the other teams is that Notre Dame made it to the title game while not finishing in the top 10 in either of these groups. In fact, they didn't finish in the top 60 in either of these groups. And the position groups are wide receiver and quarterback. Let me repeat myself. Notre Dame failed to finish among the top 60 in either yards passing per play or per game. So it's almost scary to imagine how good this team can be with even a moderate improvement in the passing game. Need proof? Well, consider this unreal stat. Notre Dame had 90 passing yards against Georgia. 90. That's pathetic. The result? We still beat the brakes off the recent 2-time champions by 2 scores. what do we do if Georgia is if we're able to double that 90 yards to a still modest 180? What do we do to Georgia if we're even better, say 250? Passing for about 250 yards per game last year made Toledo the 40th best team in that category. And Notre Dame ranked 97th in the same category, according to the site teamrankings.com. And we've got the link in the show notes. So here's the question. Could the addition of CJ Carr and the additions of Malachi Fields, Will Pauling, and a talented freshman class, and the further emergence of Jordan Faison, Jaden Greathouse, and Eli Raritan net us 50 more yards passing per game? I can't see how that's not a reasonable expectation. Had we achieved it last year, we would have been in the top 10 in offense among all teams and ranked second among the teams that made the college football playoff. Instead, we were 47th in the country and ninth among the 12 playoff teams. And we still made it to the title game. Eli Raritan has the potential to be a key piece in this new look offense because he's a 251-pound hoss with wide receiver speed. If he can stay healthy, he's a matchup nightmare. The rub can't seem to stay healthy, and neither can the whole tight end room. This is the one weak link if we have one. Cooper Flanagan is already out for the 2025 season, and so is Kevin Bauman. So that really leaves the other known option as a receiver would be transfer Ty Washington or freshmen's Larson or Flanagan, and that's James Flanagan, not related to Cooper. It really would help us if Eli Raritan can stay healthy. A healthy Raritan has the ability to really open things up because he will occupy the center of the field. This gives us the opportunity of Jaden Greathouse, Malachi Fields, Will Pauling, and Jordan Faison to stretch the field. The wide receiver room this year could be really special. Easily the best Notre Dame wide receiver room since the 1990s. So, to use a baseball analogy, Notre Dame's limited passing game, more often than not, is amounted to little more than singles, getting on the base. We stretch the field horizontally, but not vertically. Even in his impressive scoring drive against Penn State, Steve Angeli did not complete a single pass of more than 7 yards from the line of scrimmage. That's why Angeli is gone. We have to be able to push the ball down the field. Now, Fields and Greathouse is going to look an awful lot like the tandem we had of Michael Young and Golden Tate a few years back. Fields would be Michael Young in this analogy, the big physical freak who outmuscles defenders and keeps the chains moving. Greathouse, as the Penn State game showed, is the ankle breaker. It would not surprise me if we have three different team leaders in the receiver category. Fields will likely lead the team in catches, but Greathouse will lead in yards per game and touchdowns. Jordan Faison, or possibly even Will Pauling, is likely to lead in yards per play because they are so fast. Faison is likely to have fewer targets, but more highlight reel plays. Will Pauling would be lined up in the slot and featured almost as a second tight end. If this all comes together, all kinds of seams and holes will emerge, and big, explosive plays will result, both in the passing and running games. These four players give us a solid foundation, but at least one or two freshmen will probably have to emerge to give us the real depth we need at receiver. And there are many good candidates for these emerging weapons. I'll give you my favorite five: Elijah Burris, Cam Williams, KK Smith, Micah Gilbert, and Scrap Richardson. I believe we're going to get one or two players enter the rotation from that five. Opportunities to throw will obviously be there because we have the best running game group in the country, running behind a spectacular offensive line. That line is arguably also the best in the country. Now, when I say arguably the best in the country, it was certainly the best in the country until Charles Jagasaw got hurt. Charles Jagasaw will be back, but for right now, are we the best offensive line in the country? It's arguable, but we're definitely one of the two or three best. And when Jagasaw returns, we will certainly be the best. If Jeremiah Love is not a Heisman finalist, it will only be because of how much the rest of the running back room has contributed. Jadarian Bryce is a legitimate home run threat. He probably would be the starting running back on at least 90 teams in college football. But Aeneas Williams and Jabron Payne are spectacular too. This is probably a 3,000-yard backfield this year. Williams is probably our best receiving threat. We were counting on Kedron Young, the battering ram, to to be our short yardage player. He's out for the season, so this gives the opportunity for freshman Nolan James to kind of put himself in the rotation. So that makes quarterback the X factor. As I alluded to before, the fact that Angeli is gone tells me that Notre Dame is determined to push the ball down the field, something that Angeli did not have the arm to do. And all of us will be stunned if CJ Carr does not accomplish that now that he's won the job. Riley Leonard was certainly a gamer and a determined runner, but those lamenting his loss as a potentially devastating blow are dramatically overstating the case. Does Carr have the dynamic burst Leonard had? No. That doesn't mean he is a statue either. Carr has great vision and movement in the pocket and is plenty athletic enough to move the chains by running the ball. With Leonard, Notre Dame was almost automatic in short yardage, and I believe we will duplicate that with a combination of Carr, Love, Price, Williams, Payne, and James. We may even bring Minchie in some short yardage packages. More on him in a minute. You look at the whole rushing yardage picture. Notre Dame had about 3,200 rushing yards last year, and I have little doubt they will meet or perhaps slightly exceed that this year. However, I have zero doubt that we will exceed the less than 3,200 passing yards, and we will put up perhaps another 1,000 on top of that. If he can give us just 250 yards per game through the air, this offense becomes virtually unstoppable. Let me reemphasize that. If we maintain the running game we had last year and just elevate the passing game to Toledo level, we are number one on offense among Power Four schools. Better than Texas, better than Oregon, better than Ohio State. The stats don't lie, folks. These are actual numbers. The only team on our 2025 slate who exceeded that in 2024 was Miami, and they just lost their top five receivers and a quarterback that went number one overall in the NFL draft. Kenny Minchie will be a capable number two, and I expect Tyler Buckner to be the third string, a much improved Tyler Buckner. That only makes sense since he knows the system and Blake Hebert can preserve a year of eligibility. There are three caveats to the quarterback being successful. The first we already identified, elevated play from the receiver group. The second, Mike Denbrock's willingness to open up the passing game, which he really was not willing to do last year. The third, a clean pocket. And this young quarterback will need help up front. Notre Dame will face two of college football's top offensive lines in their first two games against Miami and Texas A&M. But Notre Dame will be the better unit in both of those games, according to Athlons. Anthony Knapp at left tackle, Billy Shrout at guard, Ashton Craig at center, and Emil Wagner on the right make up a number one rated offensive line in the country, according to Athlons. The only question is, will it be Gerby Lambert or Sullivan Absher at right guard with Charles Jagsaw out? I'm betting on Lambert. Will Black, Joe Ottings, Style Prescott, and Owen Strebig give us tremendous depth in this unit. With the running back room rated number 2 by Athlons, running behind those road graders, opposing teams have no choice but to load the box. And by the way, it's a joke for our running back room to be rated number 2. We definitely have the best running back room in the country. Opposing teams will have no choice but to load the box. It's a simple numbers game. Someone is getting man coverage, whether it's Greathouse, Fields, Raritan, or Pauling. I like our side of the matchup in that situation. If the defense sells out, you have a home run shot with Faison or Price, or even one of the freshmen like Micah Gilbert or Elijah Burris. Now, in the past, this has always ended one of three ways. One, the receiver couldn't get open. Two, the quarterback couldn't find him. Or three, the quarterback couldn't make the throw to hit the target. Oh, we were good enough in most games. But as soon as we played that team with elite defensive backs, the passing game disappeared and the running game ground to a halt. We don't play any of those teams this year unless we get into the playoffs. Overall conclusion on the offense, I believe this is an 11-1 team under the worst case scenario of our passing game being no better than last year. And I honestly can't see how that's even possible. CJ Carr is said to have a football IQ and processing speed that is way ahead of schedule and possesses the arm talent to make every throw. The mismatches will be there, and the offensive line will give CJ the time to find them. I believe he will find them and deliver the ball. Big plays will stretch the field and create running lanes, and the new four horsemen of Love, Price, Payne, and Williams will run wild. I believe this Notre Dame team will break the all-time scoring record and blow out scoreboard lights to the tune of 40 points per game. I look at our schedule, and I cannot honestly see a loss because I don't think any of our 12 opponents can match our offensive firepower. In fact, I don't think there is a team in the country we cannot stay with offensively. Now let's look at the defensive line. Athlon has his group ranked number 6. Now, it is no secret that our playoff production in shutting down the run dropped off when we lost Riley Mills and Howard Cross, and we really didn't have a clear answer in replacing them. Texas A&M and Miami have the power running game to pound teams up the middle, especially Miami. Neither Gabriel Rubio or Jason Onye have played enough for us to know for sure what to expect, but they are much bigger and stronger this year. And we can expect heavy rotation with transfers Jared Dawson and Donovan Heinisch and Armel Muka. We may even go deeper into the roster in obvious short yardage situations against those physical teams to our young but massive players like Davion Dixon or Sean Savillano. We may supplement that strategy by occasionally loading the box, but fortunately, we're one of the few teams that can do that and get away with it a significant portion of the time. Joshua Burnham, Boubacar Trail, Bryce Young, and Junior Talamaka will rotate at the end positions. At about mid-season or maybe even a little before, Jordan Botello will join them. This group has the potential to be fearsome, but that potential hinges entirely on the ability of the interior of the defensive line to hold up. Burnham has been really good as a role player, ideally, and but he's being asked to do much more as dictated by injuries. Probably no position group was impacted more by injuries, and if there's a link in the Notre Dame chain that is vulnerable, it's here. If the switch can come on for Burnham as an every down player, the success of this group can really grow. Junior Talamaka is the most intriguing player of all. He is that Swiss Army knife that could be used in varying and different packages. He is the biggest, along with Batella, but still retains linebacker speed and lateral movement. He led the team in production last year. My guess is that Burnham, Traore, and Young will form the foundation, but that Chris Ash will move Junior all over the place to create mismatches and disruption. Young has great upside, like his dad did, but he needs more experience and playing time. By the time Batella returns, this unit could be a real problem for opponents. Ryan Roberts of A to Z has been raving about this group and believes we will be large and effective at the point of attack in the interior. If he is right, this is going to be a nasty, dominating defense. Our edge players are going to be a wrecking crew. If teams like Miami, Texas A&M, and others have difficulty running inside against us, they could be in deep trouble very quickly. On to the linebackers. The scariest thing about the fact that Athlon has this group ranked as the number 4 linebacking crew in the nation is that the guy who should be the anchor, Jalen Sneed, has not performed anywhere close to his potential. Drake Bowen emerged from the All America game, rated as the best defensive player in high school football in the country. Not best linebacker, mind you, best player. He is probably the most valuable defensive player we have because of his sound tackling and tremendous football IQ. Jaden Osbury has freakish sideline to sideline speed and has made the kind of plays that so many former Notre Dame linebackers missed on before. Kingston Villamu Asa, KVA, as his initials suggest, is the power plant. Freakish strength for a linebacker like Jalen Smith had. Jalen Sneed is the most versatile in skill set, but his inconsistency has been frustrating. He has spectacular flashes, then disappears. Defensive coordinator Chris Ash may determine how to deploy him in different ways: pass coverage, run stopper, or pass rusher off the edge. Brian Driscoll of Irish Breakdown said that if the light finally comes on for Sneed, this is the number 1 linebacking core in the country. I agree. And this is especially true with the way I think Junior T will be moved around. I hope we have some I hope we have some games well in hand so we can see guys like Anthony Saka and Maiden Ferramo make the field too, the freshman. In fact, some are saying Ferramo might force his way into the starting role. This is going to be a fearsome group. Now on to the secondary. The graphic says it all. Notre Dame's secondary is a flat-out no-fly zone. Over the last 4 seasons, the best secondary in America has been in South Bend. Dubbed the no-fly zone, it has become a factory of elite players. Cam Hart, Benjamin Morrison, and Xavier Watts have been the most notable. Leonard Moore was forced into rotation by injuries and quickly emerged as probably the best cover corner in the nation. Christian Gray is no slouch on the other side either. With Don Schuler and Jalen Stroman at safety and Devontae Smith at nickel, I challenge you to show me a better starting 5 in America in a 4-2-5 defensive look. Carson Hobbs appears to be the most viable backup option at corner, with Tay Johnson and Luke Talich at safety. Talich had a 79-yard pick 6 versus Florida State last year. Mark Zachary, the freshman, also appears to be an interception machine. So our overall conclusion for defense. First thing, 2 games concern me the most, Miami especially. The 2 questions are: 1, will Miami, and to a lesser extent Texas A&M, be able to push around the interior of Notre Dame's defensive line? 2, what steps would Notre Dame take to counter that? Obviously, Notre Dame wants to win both these two games. If you view last year's Northern Illinois debacle as an aberration, you have to believe the season sets up nicely if we emerge 2-0 from those two games. If we emerge 0-2, our season goals could very well be in jeopardy. Miami and Texas A&M will have the same goal as us: bottle up our running game and force us to throw. Well, running on us at will, running on us at will. Whoever wins these battles in aggregate wins the games. Advantage Notre Dame. Here's why I think so. One, offensive line versus defensive line. I think the offensive lines may very well win for all three teams. However, the offensive lines, though elite, are not as good as their offensive lines, though elite, are not as good as ours. And our defensive line, though not yet elite, still is better than both of theirs. Our offensive line versus defensive line win will be larger than their offensive line versus defensive line win in the aggregate, determined by yardage and by time of possession. Two, linebacker play. Ours are superior to theirs and not by a little bit. Though Miami may get a bunch of 4 or 5 yard gains, they won't get the 6 to 20 yard gashes. We will. This is due to superior linebacker play, and three, our running backs are vastly superior to theirs. We will have the gash plays and pick up more first downs with our stable of backs. Four, we can afford to load the box more than they can. Neither of their secondaries rank in the top 10. Athlon has us number 3, but I believe we're actually number 1. And I think the statistics bear that out. We finished number 1 in pass efficiency defense in each of the last 2 seasons. Miami lost their top 5 receivers, and Texas A&M's receivers don't scare me either. Miami's secondary is all new, and that confusion and miscommunication will be used against them. 5, quarterback and receivers. Contrary to the popular wisdom, I trust our quarterback and receivers more than theirs to take advantage of those big play opportunities. Defensive pressure. If either of these opponents have to play from behind, the offensive line versus defensive line battle shifts to advantage Notre Dame. I certainly like our ability to bring the heat from our ends and backers. May seem that I have boiled this entire defensive season down to 2 games, but there's a reason for that. After those first 2 games, the only perceived disadvantage, their offensive line versus our defensive line, vanishes. In fact, after these 2 games, we face only one unit that ranks in the top 10 in one category, Pittsburgh, and it's their linebackers. The rest of the season. Simply stated, we have an overwhelming talent advantage in virtually all phases of offense and defense against each of the last 10 teams we play. That includes depth, and I think a lot of young defensive players are going to get meaningful reps. By playoff time, this defense will be the nation's best. Chris Ash was instrumental in Ohio State's 2014 national championship defense, so he's proven he can get it done if the fit is right. His statement that he may mix some zone into our pass defense is particularly aimed at them. We won't be playing them until December or January at all, if at all, but I don't believe scheme is why we lost to Ohio State. If Benjamin Morrison, Xavier Watts, Howard Cross, Riley Mills, Jordan Botelho, and Boubacar Traore were not out with injuries, we would have beaten the Buckeyes. If our players are healthy, I believe Ash will be successful. His defense will be less complicated, but faster and more violent. Marcus Freeman wants to create a defense that is feared, one that plays with all the finesse of a pack of junkyard dogs. I believe that when the playoffs start, this defense will be just plain nasty. Alabama 2011 nasty. Miami 2001 nasty. Notre Dame 1990 or 1988 nasty. On the special teams, Noah Burnett will be the field goal kicker after transferring from North Carolina. In a year of encouraging, insane statistics, here's one. Notre Dame fell one field goal short of entering the national championship with a 15-0 record. That's right, one kick. Why is that encouraging? Notre Dame's kicker, Mitch Jeter, was hurt all year and didn't get healthy until the playoffs. His kick versus Penn State put us in the title game. As I mentioned before, we made it to the title game with the 97th ranked pass offense, and you have to be optimistic because there's just no way we don't improve on that. In the same way, we scored 38 points a game with a field goal percentage that ranked 127 at 55%. Barring the freak event of our kicker being hurt again all year, there's no chance that doesn't improve and certainly bodes well for an improvement in scoring. James Rendell returns as a fantastic punter, and he will only get better. Marty Biagi's special teams unit was a standout, ranking first nationally tied in blocked kicks, second in blocked punts, and fifth in kickoff return defense. Freshman Bryce Young led with 3 blocked kicks. The unit set a program record with 73 PATs and featured game-changing plays, including Jaden Harrison's 98-yard kickoff return in the Sugar Bowl and Mick Jeter's 41-yard field goal to seal the Orange Bowl victory. He has also, Marty that is, has also become famous for fake punts and fake field goals and gadget plays. There's no reason to believe 2025 won't be spectacular on special teams. Now, what I believe this will all look like on the field. There is only one reason Steve Angeli drops to third on the depth chart at quarterback after the spring game. If you're looking for experience and knowledge of the offense, Angeli was the obvious choice. The move shows that Mike Denbrock and Marcus Freeman understand the missing piece for championship offense is the ability to stretch the field vertically. If it seems oversimplistic, when I assert that the ability to hit the big vertical play consistently is the key that unlocks the championship door, I'm sorry, it really is. This was a team that only hit on about 55% of their field goals during the season last year during an injured kicker. The average is 83%. This was a team that averaged an anemic 7.1 yards per pass play last year. The average was 7.5 plus. This is a team that had at least 16 players miss at least one game due to injury. The average is half that. Yet we went 14-2 and played for a national championship. Conclusions and projections. Offense. I've been watching Notre Dame football for decades, and I've seen many great players at different positions. I can truly say that I've never seen an offense with as much talent, balance, and flat out firepower in so many areas as this one at one time. The offensive lines of 92 and 93 and 2015, 2017 are comparable, but the 2015 to 17 backfield wasn't nearly as deep and diverse. The 92-93 team had the starting star power of Bettis and Brooks, but not close to the depth of this group. The 92 receiving corps had Derek Mays, but not much else. The early 2000s group had Jeff Samardzija and Rima McKnight, but I think Brady Quinn elevated them. Michael Young and Golden Tate were a good tandem, but I can't ever remember a quartet like Greathouse, Faison, Pauling, and Fields. Even at tight end, Raritan is a freak top-end talent if he can put it together. This offense, at a minimum, will be powerful, balanced, and explosive. They play to their ceiling, they will be generational. Most of the Notre Dame defenses of the past 30 years have had at least one glaring weakness, whether it be a lack of size and strength on the D line, no speed, power, or athleticism on the edge, too slow, small, and non-athletic at linebacker, or a complete disadvantage in the secondary against the elite teams. Truth be told, many times we had some elite players in some of these areas, but not enough of them in enough areas, and that has changed. We have monsters at every level of this defense, and lots of them. We have a ton of fast, smart, athletic, nasty players. In our last 5 games, we played USC, Indiana, Georgia, Penn State, and Ohio State, and we're 5-1 against that group. Without Jordan Botelho, Boubacar Traore, Benjamin Morrison, Howard Cross, Xavier Watts, and Riley Mills. This team has more overall depth. I think this is going to be an explosive, balanced offense, uh, offense coupled with a nasty, violent, suffocating defense. I honestly believe Notre Dame is going to go 12-0 against this schedule. We're just too strong in too many areas. However, I'm going to break the groups. Uh, I'm going to group the opponents into competitive versus non. Teams that we will beat that will be somewhat competitive. Miami. Miami will try to run the football up the middle and control the game, and will try to throw off of play action. They will have mixed success at first, but Notre Dame will eventually seize control by making Miami one dimensional and forcing them to play from behind. We will hit the big plays, and they won't. Notre Dame will win by at least 10 points. Texas A&M will try the same formula, but we're better than last year and will beat them worse. At least a 14-point Notre Dame win. USC is almost always competitive. It will be for a while, but we'll pull away late. Arkansas will attempt to match our physicality, but the talent advantage will let us pull away. The only reason why I'm a little worried about the Arkansas game is that it's going to be at Arkansas at 12 noon. It's likely to be very hot. Between Pitt and Syracuse, one of them will catch us a little bit flat, but we'll win the game late anyway. These games, I think, are going to be flat out routes. Boise State, Purdue, North Carolina State, Boston College, Navy, and Stanford will destroy all those teams. So, this is my projection for the college football playoff. After going 12-0, Notre Dame secures the number 1 seed and 2 additional weeks off because we don't play in a conference championship game. Texas edges out Alabama to win the SEC and the number 2 seed. Clemson wins the ACC and gets the 3 seed. Alabama gets the 4 seed as an at-large. Arizona State, Penn State, Ohio State, and Georgia advance to the second round, but all of the top 4 seeds win against them. In the semifinals, Clemson falls to Texas, and Notre Dame beats Alabama. In the championship, Notre Dame claims their 14th NCAA recognized championship, which ties Alabama for the most ever. Despite how many national championships Alabama claims they have won 14 as recognized by the NCAA, and we have won 13 as recognized by the NCAA, and we will tie them this year. Now, as for my week 1 picks, obviously Notre Dame is going to beat Miami. I also pick Syracuse to pull the upset over Tennessee. I pick Clemson to beat LSU. I pick Texas to beat Ohio State. And in a major upset that will shock the football world, I'm picking Florida State to upset Alabama. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy a great college football season. God bless you.